Welcome, bienvenue, and willkommen to another episode of BMW Live from Ultimate Drive, featuring products and experts to bring you an inside look at the world of BMW. My name is Kevin Marcotte, and we're coming to you today live from an underground location here at BMW Canada headquarters, where today, just hours after the very first photos and videos were released of the highly anticipated all-new 6th generation M3 and M4, we are thrilled to unveil them to you today. Joining me, as always, to provide the qualified insight into these ultra-high performance sports cars is Matthew Wilson. Good to see you, Matt. Welcome back.
Thank you very much, Kevin, and of course, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here today.
Great. Two important mentions before we dive into the product. Firstly, we have a team of product experts on our live stream chat ready to take your questions throughout the presentation today, so please ask away. And stay tuned for later in the broadcast, an exciting announcement on a pre-order opportunity for the all-new M3 and M4 here in Canada. So, let's dive into the product. Matt, it's been a couple of days since we had the opportunity to see these highly anticipated cars. What are your first impressions?
Well, Kevin, you know I've been working in product at BMW for quite some time now.
Yes.
And, been involved in a lot of product launches, but I've never been more excited than to help launch the all-new 6th generation of, our most iconic nameplates in the M3 and the M4.
Yeah.
Our designers, our engineers really went all out. This isn't an evolution of the last gen, it's an absolute revolution. And to put it simply, I absolutely love these cars.
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned 6 generations, and we use the terms icon and brand shaper regularly regarding the M3 and the M4. How have they managed over all of those generations to live up to that promise of being the pure ultimate driving machine?
Yeah, Kevin, I mean, the M3, M4, it's no secret, they're really the heart and the soul of the BMW brand. And, that started more than 30 years ago with the first generation M3 and the E30. And over 5 very successful generations have really created a following of enthusiasts like no other in the industry.
Right.
And with that, of course, comes more pressure when you're creating an all-new generation. Sure. So, as mentioned, they didn't play it safe, and I think that the performance dynamics and, of course, the styling is going to win buyers over with this car.
Right. Let's talk about that aggressive styling. And there are many differences between M3
Definitely.
and M4, a coupe and a sedan, of course, but there's also some very key similarities.
Yeah, and when we look at the front, it's actually identical for both the M3 and the M4, which I think is a great thing. And very bold and aggressive look, I think everyone would agree. And that starts with the frameless kidney grille.
Right.
Of course, it's much larger than previous gen, of course, but definitely gives it that aggressive.
First saw it on the 4 Series.
Definitely. And features a double slat, which is characteristic of BMW design. And the whole front end, everything is purposely done to improve either aerodynamics, engine cooling, or overall performance. So large air intakes down below, which are also, you can see the carbon fiber in there as well. The hood, of course, it's beautiful. It's got lots of sculpts in it, again, to improve the overall drag and aerodynamics of the vehicle.
Right, very racy, performance-oriented. The size of that grille, it's an internet sensation. A lot of buzz, but probably a sign of things to come under the hood, which we'll talk about later. But I think when the lights went up, our audience was probably very drawn to the colors of these cars. Can you talk about those?
Yeah, I mean, the M4 here, this is a new exclusive color, Sao Paulo yellow, of course, and the M3 is Isle of Man green. These are very bold colors, no doubt. So if you're looking to fly under the radar, perhaps there's another color for you. But we do offer a very wide range of colors on both these cars as well. Some frozen or matte paints will be available at launch as well. So if you still can't find a color, our BMW individual division, which is our custom division, can really create an infinite number of possibilities. To your personal preference.
Absolutely. So bold styling up front definitely makes a statement. How about at the rear of the vehicles?
Yeah, if we step over to the M3 for a second here, the first thing you'll probably notice, of course, is these huge quad exhausts, right? Which is another characteristic of BMW M design. And those are wrapped in a fully functional carbon fiber rear diffuser, which looks great. And again, it's designed with purpose to improve the performance. And I think one of the nicest touches when you're looking at this vehicle from the rear, the M3 and the M4 have a wider track, of course, and you notice that on the hips. And that is something that our enthusiasts have loved about the previous Gen M3, and that's carried over to this generation as well.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite looks, the rear profile of an M3 sedan throughout history. Very sporty, very powerful. How about we take a look at the side of the vehicle?
Yeah, and if we step back over to the M4, you're going to notice the characteristic M logo, which is embedded within the side flank here on the side. Down low, to improve aerodynamics, there's a skirt that runs the entire length of the vehicle, and it really visually lowers the vehicle as well, optically.
It looks like a race car.
Definitely. And perhaps one of my favorite design elements, of course, is always the wheels. And this features the 19-inch up front, 20-inch in the rear, lightweight M-forged wheels, which of course are wrapped in ultra-high performance rubber. As well, this particular model actually features, you can identify it by the gold brake calipers, M's carbon ceramic brakes, which are really, they bring track level performance and really the ultimate stopping power in the M3 and M4.
Right, and carbon ceramic just sounds light, and our M engineers over the years have been recognized for their advancements in lightweight technology. What has BMW M done to shave weight from the new M3 and M4?
Yeah, Kevin, as you know, excess weight and performance don't go hand in hand, right? So our M division has long been renowned for reducing the weight in vehicles. And there's a lot of things you can't see, the panels underneath the body, but some things you can see. Those carbon ceramic brakes, as an example we were talking about, help shed more than 30 pounds versus a standard car. As well, there's carbon fiber up front. One of the nicest design elements, it looks great, but also takes weight off the top of the vehicle, is a carbon fiber roof. And we'll get inside in a minute, but obviously the new M carbon bucket seats also help shave weight. So lots of lightweight technology in the M3, M4, an all new M chassis, and of course a much more powerful engine. Definitely increase the performance to levels never seen in the M3 and the M4.
Right, so aerodynamic styling, lightweight, even the floating M mirrors. Now let's talk performance, Matt. What can you tell our viewers about what lies under the hood of the new M3 and M4?
I mean the heart of the car, right? The M3 and the M4, and the new M3, M4 feature the next generation 3-liter M twin power turbo inline 6-cylinder engine. Which, when mated with a 6-speed manual transmission, which is unique in this segment, again, so we've kept the manual, of course. Produces 473 horsepower, or in the competition models with the 8-speed M Steptronic transmission, 503 horsepower. So that's good for almost a 60 horsepower bump from the previous gen. And as mentioned, with the lightweight technology, the new chassis, and everything else that's in this car, which we won't have time to get to today, that's good for a 0 to 100 time in under 4 seconds. So huge leaps and bounds in terms of performance.
Wow, that's impressive. Now, what can drivers do to ensure that all that performance is perfectly suited and tuned to their individual needs?
Yeah, I mean, as with all M vehicles, really with the push of a button in a millisecond, you can toggle between M1 or M2 drive modes. You can change the throttle response, the suspension, the exhaust, the braking, to name a few items, and really tailor your individual driving preferences really in a second. So you could be going from casual to maybe more spirited driving, but all done in the flick of a button.
That's always my first order of business in a new modern M car, is to set those M1 and M2 settings, and off we go. How about we give our viewers a look at the inside of the new M4 and M3?
Now, Kevin, as you know, in product, I get the opportunity to drive quite a few different sports cars. Very fortunate in that sense, but I got to tell you, when you step inside this vehicle, those seats we talked about, I mean, those are one of the most impressive features to me. Full M carbon bucket seats. On the back of these seats is all exposed carbon. It absolutely looks fantastic.
And one piece.
One piece, very bolstered. So again, if you're on the track, more aggressive driving maneuvers, definitely keep you bolstered and positioned in place. And of course, there's carbon inlays in the center of the seat as well. And of course, the color. I mean, they look fantastic. This is Yasmarina blue, and the yellow contrast really match the bold exterior of this vehicle. And of course, on the M3, we have Kilami orange seats, a little more understated, but equally as impressive. And we talked about lightweight. These actually shed 20 pounds off the curb weight of the vehicle. So they look great, but obviously they serve a purpose as well.
Wow, these seats are awesome. It feels like you're sitting in a race car.
Definitely.
In these seats. What else stands out on the interior?
Yeah, well, we showed you the carbon fiber on the exterior of the vehicle. On the inside, there's carbon inlays on the dash, the center console, for the first time on the steering wheel. Obviously, the M gear shift lever is unique, and really all together gives a much more impressive look and feel to the car. And I think immediately passengers, drivers will know they're in something special.
Right. What else can drivers expect from BMW's industry-leading technology on the interior?
Yeah, well, you've got all the latest tech, of course. You've got our live cockpit professional, our head-up display, of course, with M-specific displays. You have our industry-leading iDrive 7.0. You've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto connectivity, wireless charging. I could go on and on. Really, all the latest tech on this car. And of course, perhaps the most advanced tech and the tech you can't see and most important tech is the safety technology. And of course, every M3 and M4 comes standard with a host of BMW's industry-leading safety tech.
Right, so a car with this much performance requires that safety technology as well. And there's also some technology on the new M cars for some track fun, let's say, in terms of M-Drive Professional.
Most definitely, most definitely.
Fantastic. I have one last question for you before we turn to some viewer questions, and that's for all the enthusiasts out there and those potential buyers, and that is, when are the new M3 and M4 available in Canada, and what is the price?
Of course, so the M3 starts at just over $84,000, the M4 just over $85,000, and the first units will arrive in retailers this coming March. But as you mentioned up front, of course, and I believe there's a link on the broadcast as well for the first 100 pre-orders starting now. I think we're taking orders. You can be one of the lucky few to take one of the first units that make its way to Canadian shores. So,
wow, that's fantastic. So our special announcement is for viewers, check the link on the live stream where you can pre-order the new M3 and M4 over 6 months in advance. You can also speak to your local retailer as well. Matt, terrific overview of the cars. How about we take some questions, as we always do, from our online audience? And we'll do it in the speed round here. We're going to start with Carrie from BMWLive.ca asks, will all-wheel drive be available on the new M3 and M4?
Of course, that's a question we get a lot. And you know we introduced for the first time in the current M5 and M8 the MX Drive system, allowing drivers to toggle between rear wheel, all-wheel, or pretty much anything in between. And that I would say look for that next summer. So it will be coming on the M3 and M4.
Fantastic. So shortly after launch, great news for Canadian M enthusiasts. Next question from Bill on Instagram. When are you bringing the M3 Touring to Canada?
Well, we definitely can't confirm anything at this point. That is another question we get quite frequently. But you know, we are continually analyzing the market and determining market needs, and all I can say is that the M3 Touring looks like a very exciting product. And
you're a fan of it, and I'm a fan of it as well.
I am definitely a fan of it.
Good. Next from Nicholas on Facebook, when will the individual program be offered?
Individual will actually almost coincide perfectly with launch, so it should be available March, April time.
Oh, perfect. Wonderful. Good news there. Next up from BMWLive.ca is Adriano. Are the damper settings still configurable?
Definitely, and better yet, it's actually the M-Adaptive suspension will now be standard equipment on both the M3 and M4 in the 6th generation.
Okay, so upping the standard level equipment in the cars as we typically do. And our last question today, Matt, comes from Jim on BMWLive.ca. Sporty, obviously, is the drift analyzer standard?
Yes, that's it's not standard. That's part of the M-Drive Professional, which will be a standalone option or one of the many packages on the vehicle as well. So very accessible for those looking for that, I would say, fun feature.
Sure.
Definitely, you can just check the box and get it on any trim level.
Wonderful, and a lot more options that are available, and you can check with your local retailer as well. Matt, thank you so much for your expertise.
Thank you.
Thanks to our viewers for your terrific questions. That brings to a close another episode of BMW Live from Ultimate Drive. On behalf of Matt and myself, our retailers here in Canada, the US, and around the world, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay safe and healthy, everyone, and bye for now.